Like what I told you when we were chatting before we hopped on was like, we don't do so much training and teaching at Legora. We mostly just build agentic solutions that like help smooth out the rough edges that people used to stub their toes on. And that's really what enablement at Legora looks like today.
GTM AI podcast with Jonathan Moss and Coach K, where you get the latest with AI and GTM today. GTM AI podcast with Jonathan Moss and Coach K.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It is I, Jonathan Carford, aka Coach K, and this is another episode of the GTM AI podcast. I am pleased, privileged, honored, and ecstatic, I should say, to be talking to one of my fellow enablement peers, Justin Driesse, who is the Director of Sales Enablement at Legora. How are you, my friend?
Hey, doing well. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I was telling you before the show that people listening to the podcast know this, but I was in enablement for a while, and I've been talking to the RevOps enablement space for a long time about how enablement needs to be doing things differently than they were before. And literally, you were just showing what you're doing. I'm like, this is the guy. He's the guy doing what I've been telling people to do. So I'm so glad to be able to talk to you about this. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of your work for a while on LinkedIn. I've given many likes, many heart emojis to the posts you've made. Yeah, it was really exciting to get out.
I appreciate that. I love what you're doing, and I appreciate the kind words. But before we get into it, we got to have some really cool stuff you want to show off to us today around account plans and how you handle things and your mindset around AI versus the old world of what enablement used to be. But before we get into that, tell me more about you. Who's Justin? Tell me about your story. What's the human side? Tell me that first.
Interesting. I think the best way to frame myself is, do we go backwards or forwards? I guess we'll go forwards, right? And so I got my start in enablement. I was actually, my first job out of college, I was a teacher. And so I spent 6 years teaching high school English, taught AP, Lit and Lang to juniors and seniors for 6 years, coached soccer and lacrosse. Again, I was, as far as I was concerned, I was going to retire at that high school, T-minus 25 years from the day I started. And then I got the opportunity to go into adult learning. And so I was given an opportunity to go and work. I basically was the technology trainer for a global accounting firm. And what was interesting about that was like the CTO, he was looking for a technology trainer, and his wife was just like, you should hire a teacher. Don't look for like people in corporate. Go find someone who actually spends time like breaking concepts down for people. And so the recruiter just happened to be looking for someone with teaching experience. And again, one of those serendipitous moments. I've had a couple just like completely like serendipitous moments in my career reached out to me. It was perfect timing. I was thinking like, oh, I love teaching, but it really takes a lot out of you. Maybe there's a different way to do this. Did that for a couple of years. And then very shortly after COVID started, it all started on a LinkedIn message from a recruiter at Twitch. And when I read him, hey, like I have this open role in sales enablement, we think you'd be a great fit. And it just so happens that when I was at that accounting firm, like I built a ton of e-learning modules, right? Because someone introduced me to Articulate. I thought it was a lot of fun to build in. You could build these really rich, visually engaging modules, put together a portfolio. And again, like that portfolio just happened to get seen by that recruiter. And then, so my first job in tech was at Amazon, like right around the time Amazon ingested Twitch's revenue org into their advertising revenue org. And that was the ride. That's where it started. And it was awesome. I think that the lessons I learned at Amazon 5 years ago are still some of the most valuable that I've learned in my career. But again, along the way, I made really good friends with Bradford Jordan. I know he's got a big following in this community, and Bradford pulled me over to Slack, and that was the next stop. So I went from, initially when Bradford pulled me over, it was post-acquisition, and I was like, I just went through an acquisition. I'm not so sure I want to do that again. He's like,
do this again. Yeah,
it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It was great. And so I spent the next few years over at Slack, again, like learning from Slack, Salesforce, all that stuff. And then I made the pivot in startups. And then today I find myself at Legora, but before Legora, I joined another incredible startup, Writer, which Writer is AI for tech. Yeah, it's AI for everything, everywhere, all at once. They build their own models. They have multiple agent building platforms. Their co-founders are both the kindest and smartest people I've ever met in my life. And then
that's cool.
That led me here to Legora. And it was like, I think initially, like, again, I've always been, all the companies I've been at have been like broader, call it like enterprise or platform plays. And I was a little skeptical about the niche sub-industry of AI for legal. But one quick conversation with the team that recruited me, and I was like, no, I misunderstood this, right? I misjudged this and I misscoped this. And so I've been at Legora since September, and it's just been, man, it's a ride. It's the most fun I've ever had in my career. It's candidly the most winning I've done in my career as part of a go-to team. And we're just getting started here. It's like everyone shows up. There's just an energy in our office every day. And again, you think of all the places that I've been at prior to this in my career. It's like I've never been this jazzed to get off the train in the morning and be like, okay, we got this going on today. We got that going on tomorrow, and all that stuff.
I love that, dude. I've been in the same place where that's how I felt about momentum, because I've been in a lot of good companies with really good tech, really good teams, but there's something different about a insanely accelerating team. You're like on for the ride. It's crazy. So I love that you're there. So happy for your success. I know Legora is not stopping anytime soon, so it's going to be cool to see where you guys go with it. It's going to be fun. Tell me this. If someone's watching this podcast, what would be the thing they're going to get out of watching for the next 20, 30 minutes? What are they going to get out of this?
Yeah, I think, the reason why I framed my career on starting and teaching is I've spent the bulk of a decade and a half on what is the most effective way to teach people.
Yeah.
And something that I didn't include in the last bit, but is real, is I was actually about 40% of the way through a PhD in adult learning. So again, working for companies like Amazon and Salesforce, they offer you tuition reimbursement. So I was like, why not? Why not just take 1 credit a semester on the company dimes? I actually removed myself from the program because I was like, I don't think I need a PhD if I have AI. It was about a year and a half ago where I was like, I'm not sure how much value this has moving forward. And so as someone who has, again, like from teaching middle schoolers to high schoolers to athletes to adults, from accountants to salespeople, like all across the board, like I spent close to 2 decades looking for the most effective ways to teach people. And what AI has really taught me recently, and really the last 4 to 6 months, is there used to be learning was a labor intensive process until AI came around. You think about if you wanted to learn something, just like, again, like in your head, what would you have to do? And all the steps you would have to take and all the time you would have to spend. Think about if you wanted to start to learn about something, you would go to Google and you'd do a search and you would basically hunt and peck for nuggets. And then maybe when you're new to something, you don't know where to look. It's like, you might get 3 nuggets an hour.
Yeah.
It's like a pretty scary ROI. Where now it's ridiculous how fast we've accelerated to where I can go in and tell Claude or ChatGPT, I can say, I want to learn about ancient Roman mythology, but I want you to tell it to me like it's an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. It's going to do that. It's like, we've accelerated from pecking and hunting to like, no, this is exactly how I want to learn about it. And this is the tone that I want you to take with me. And it can like, just think about how much time gets compressed and distilled in just like learning something. But even like a year ago, 18 months ago, to what it is today. And so I think it's just really trying to take advantage of that in enablement, because we know this, like the salespeople, they work so hard, right? And so much is asked of them too, right? Yeah. And so I feel like with AI, I'm finally able to repay the empathy of my sales teams, because I know you're working hard. I know you're doing this stuff. And again, like a year or 2 years ago, it's like, but you got to learn this, and our go-to-market changed, and here's this new product. And I know you've been selling that way for the last year, but we got to do this. And it's like, AI is the great equalizer. AI is how you just simplify all of this. And like what I told you when we were chatting before we hopped on was like, we don't do so much training and teaching at Legora. We mostly just build agentic solutions that like help smooth out the rough edges that people used to stub their toes on. And that's really what enablement at Legora looks like today.
That's awesome. We're going to get into that more later, which is great. But today you're going to show us the workflow for the account plan. Like just to make sure the audience knows, there's some things obviously, which is IP and protected. We can't show the entire workflow, but you are going to show some of your workflow that you use an agent in Notion to create account plans, right? Correct. Is there anything else you want to add to that? I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
No, just the context here was I joined in September. Our CRO joined sometime in the spring, and we're very much building the sales organization from the ground up this year. And we had hit a point where in our maturity where we wanted to make sure that we had dialed in sales process, and we needed account plans. The mandate was like, no more handover docs. This needs to be as smooth as possible. If we're going to accelerate our sales motion to the rate that we need to accelerate it at, we need to give ourselves every competitive advantage. And as a leadership team, we all knew account planning was the right thing to do. But it was like, if you think about it from an enablement perspective, if you ever had to implement account planning within an organization, it's like change management more than anything else, right? It's like everybody understands the value of account planning, and everyone understands the ROI that you're going to get if you have dialed in account planning. It's the change management piece that makes it so hard. And going back to the seller empathy, it's not that they don't want to do it. It's like they got family, they got kids, they got a significant other that they want to spend time with, right? It's like it becomes this admin task that they have every intention of doing, but the clock's got to hit zero at every day, every game, clock's got to hit zero. And like, how do we buff out that rough edge for them? And what we did was we built an agent using a series of prompts. Again, I can't share the exact prompt with everyone, but I promise you, I'll tell you how I built it though. And it's basically 5 prompts chained together in Notion that build what I can only describe as like the richest account plans. Again, across the organization, like my CRO, the first time he saw it, he goes, "Is this real?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, this isn't like, you didn't have your thumb on the scale.
This is for real.
Every account plan, I'm like, Pat, just click into. And every account plan was like, when I tell you this agent is building not only just a stakeholder map, but tiering them in terms of based on who the company is, what their organizational goals are. Like, here's the people you must talk to. Here's the people you should get to very quickly. Here's the people that are nice to have. And it's like the command is our theme for kickoff was yes, chef, because it was like, hey, what got us here? We had an incredible year. Like we had a record year, but what got us here is not going to get us here. And so how do we get from here to here? So the message was clear to the team. It was like, we've done what we've done on a lot of grit and hustle, like an insane amount of grit and hustle, but like we got to get elite in our execution. We got to get disciplined in what we do. We got to focus on what matters and forget about what doesn't. And chef, hey, we only have one contact in his account. What's the deal? Yes, chef. Hey, what's going on? Like, what's going on? They haven't picked up the phone for us in 3 days. We got to get in front of them. Yes, chef. Get in. Hey, they're going to be in San Francisco for a conference. Get on a plane, go to San Francisco. Yes, chef. It's just, again, what got us here isn't what's going to get us there. And it's just like, we all know the mission and we know what we got to do. So the workflow that I built, the agent in Notion, the only way it works is if you tell it, yes, chef. And so you spin to your phone. And you put the name of the account up in the title. And again, like this is all in the prompting of the agent where it's like, when it only runs when you say it will not run until you say yes, chef. And what it does is it reads the name of the account up in the account plan title. And then 90 seconds later, you have just this to the point where like the reps were like, this is almost too much though. They're like, it's like a homework assignment to read this. And we're like, okay, you're thinking about it differently. If you want to party like it's 1999 and read the account plan cover to cover, you can go ahead, or you can just use the Notion agent and distill and summarize things for you. But we want to make sure that we know that this is the history we need on this account as we go from pre-sales, pilot phase, post-sales, all of that stuff. So it's again, even that part of change management, which is not only can we do this, but we just have to reset expectations around some other things.
Cool. I love it. Basically saying is you're doing what you do before, which like you said, would take a long time to do, different data resources, different people, blah, blah, blah. And now you're doing instantaneously whatever needs to be done, basically. Which is pretty cool. Do you have, if I can ask, do you have any visual of any kind? Are you going to show any visuals? It's okay, don't. Because I'm thinking like, if you don't, if you could describe the steps without showing the prompts, which is fine, I can create visuals over top of it in the podcast to help. But I don't know if you have something like that.
Let's do that because look, I have the Notion instance, but there's nothing like I promise everyone that's watching, like it's this simple, right? What I'm going to describe to you is what is get here. Again, I'm pretty good at prompting, right? But at the same time, I use Notion AI to build all my prompts. So like when I go to build like this, I mentioned it is 5 prompts chained together. I went back and forth with Notion AI, which again is built off of Claude and GPT and Gemini, and just said, hey, here's what I need to do. And it would give me prompts. I say, okay, now I also want to do this. And it was just building, and it was just, and not only like the great thing about Notion, I don't officially work for Notion, but what's great about how.
But to be fair though, that's what your team uses internally. So it's easy for you to use that for your motion, correct?
Totally. Yeah. And I'm someone, just candidly, like I'm someone who came from Slack where we use Canvas. Like Canvas was a huge unlock for us in terms of enablement and product. Like they featured Slack Canvas in keynotes because it became such a strong, like for Salesforce Slack, because that became the internal collaboration tool. So I came to be like, oh, like I use Slack Canvas. No one had used it here. Everyone was already in Notion. And I was like, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to start using Notion. That's where everything was. It was already in Notion. And again, I'd never seen an organization have this much of a robust, like I was actually, when I came onto Legora, like day one, I was like, I had never seen this much what I would call grassroots enablement. Like it was actually mind blowing. Like what, again, to that, the culture of grit and hustle that we have here, like what I walked into was like an embarrassment of riches of just because this thing, enablement content as the first man on the moon here. But I was like, okay, they've invested in Notion. I'm not going to boil the ocean here. We're going to work in Notion. And so going back and forth with Notion AI, and again, like I could spend an hour talking about how brilliant of a product that is. Because to me, it's totally inverted the agent model to make it super user-friendly and easy for people.
Tell me why you say that. When you say inverted, why do you say that? Because I would agree, but tell me your perspective on it. What do you think?
Yeah. And here, I can show you this. This is non-proprietary, but like when you look at it, the way to use Notion AI and the unlock for me was just, I'm just going to share my screen here. It's you have your little Notion agent, right? And you just personalize it and you just give it a name. I've named mine Umlaut, right? And basically what you do is instead of having an individual agent for all the different things that you want to do, you have one agent and then you create instructions, right? So if you go down here, it's like there's different, again, like we have like different, again, I'm building prototypes for some of this stuff. So like we have the account planning agent and then we have other agents in production. So we have like Max is our CEO, like how to read an account plan like Max would read it. Pat is our CRO, right? Pat GPT. Like how would Pat read your account plan? Weapon X, your secret. Not gonna tell you about that today. But it's like basically what you do is instead of having multiple agents, and I think that's where people get a little like dizzy around, whoa, I got to keep track of all this stuff now. It's like you have one agent and then you give it these personalities, and the personality is just a Notion page. And so if you think about all the different agentic platforms, it's like, here's how you use this and you got to learn how to use the tool. It's like, you're listing out in a document what you can do. And again, that if you think about it,
Right.
prompt, a complex agentic prompt is a document. It's a document on how you tell it to do things. It's just Notion has basically made it so that it's this very human interaction of I need you to do this, then I need you to do that. Make sure you're reading these sources, make sure you're reading through all the different entries into
All the different stuff.
with a Notion. And it's so easy to understand like what it takes. So what I would say when I say they inverted the model, it's like they've made it so easy. And again, like when I was at Writer, like they had multiple agent building platforms, which were excellent and they were really good, but it's like nothing this novel. I've never seen anything this novel in terms of just like reconceptualizing it so that there's no excuse not to build agents. And you are building, like, again, like what, and I think about if I go back a year ago, like what I would have had to have done on any different agent building platform to get the output that I'm getting from my account planning agent. It like, that like almost breaks my brain in terms of how far we've come in 12 months of agent.
Crazy. It's been really fast.
All I've done is use this. And again, it's just a Notion page that I use Notion AI to help write all the prompts for. I was like, and all I have to tell it is this is what I want. This is what I don't want. I want you to. So for example, the final prompt is giving it all of the proprietary Legora information, right? And it's like all of our product information, all of our product marketing, all of this stuff. And it's like, yeah,
right.
Like before you do anything, read through this stuff.
That's cool. So do you feel like, so for those listening, want to do something similar, and I'm curious on, have you tried to attempt doing something like this in like a custom GPT or the gems? Do you feel like those are just different? Because there's similar things to that, but Notion is in and of itself, its own knowledge base. You have this whole, especially if a team has content like product marketing, also this stuff in there, it becomes really rich. Whereas custom GPT and gems don't have that depth of information. So
back to a novel experience. If you think about it, Notion is your RAG. Right. If you're familiar with retrieval augmented generation, your RAG is Notion. So you ask custom GPTs. Yeah. The first couple that I built out were custom GPTs, but like you had to, and again, think about it in that very defined space of a custom GPT, you had to give it the document and the this and the that. And it was actually a little cumbersome to go and make that malleable and flexible. Where now, because Notion essentially becomes your RAG, all you do is go into your prompt and say, hey, in addition to these 5 product pages, read this 6th one. We just launched our newest product. It's called Portal. Read the Portal page too. Right. Yeah. And so it's like that, it's so much more flexible. And it sounds like, oh, that's not that big of a difference. But think about the speed at which this allows you to move and the scale with which you're able to achieve. Because again, like you could, in theory, in Notion, you could have a database of all the different legal use cases that you have. Right. And so every time the agent goes to write something for you, you could have it read through. It's an agent. It can read through 150 use cases every time. It's without getting tired. And so putting everything in Notion, it's the most distilled talk track I have for that is Notion is your RAG. And so if your organization is bought into Notion and using Notion every day and all the knowledge lives in Notion, the RAG and the agent system are like they're already meshed together. There's no additional work there.
So when you think about workflow, when a sales rep needs something, they go into Notion and then query it. Is it in Slack? What's the experience like for the sales rep when they're trying to go through this process?
Yeah, it's all Notion. And again, like now Notion can also pull from Slack. Right. And so I think one of the learnings for me was like in building out the agent, it was like a lot of times it's pulling stuff from Slack and it's like what it doesn't know is what's stale and what's evolved and other things like that. So there's a lot of like guardrails built into my agents in terms of I'm very specific with what I want it to use. Right. Because at least like we know that there's no diluted or stale information within the data that it's working with. So I'd say as you're building these out, just be very clear with what you want, but be twice as clear with what you don't want. And that's how you raise the floor of the output that you're getting.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've been telling this in prompting classes for a long time, like good and bad examples are amazing. Either saying what you don't want, do want, good and bad. It's funny because like we as humans need that. We need to see what's good, what's bad, and we perform better just from the examples of disparity between the two. I'm like, AI does the same thing, guys. It's the same concept. Tell me this, I want to dig into a little bit. I love the workflow. And you said you have 5 prompts building on each other. I'm assuming you probably do something similar with other use cases. When some enablement thing comes up, you probably take the same approach. So walk me through what you used to do in the past when it came to like training and stuff, and now what you do now. Like what's the difference between the two, and how do you think about solving these enablement type problems with this flow?
Yeah. So I think let's just stick on, right now we're working on one for demos, right? But I think let's just stick to account planning. If your CRO came to you and said, hey, we need account planning, that's 2 quarters. That's 2 quarters right there, which is okay. How are people doing it today? You got to do a needs analysis. You got to talk to people. They get the list grows quickly, right? And then it's ultimately, okay, we got to get the whole team together. Like, when's the next QBR? Hey, Mike's really good. Is Mike going to give us 2 to 3 hours to train the team at the back end? But the people, they're going to be hungover. And you deal with all of this stuff. And it's like, essentially prior, the before part, you had to define what good looks like, train the teams, get them using it in like a nascent sense, i.e. like they're not going to be great. It's like that sinus to neckline around like the first pancake. Like the first couple pancakes are never going to be good. So you need to get them using it. You need to push them through that early friction of, guys, this is just more work for me. Come on. Like no salesperson has ever said, oh, great, more stuff to do. So pushing through that. Their first account plans, just by nature of human development, are not going to be super great. So you got to push them through that. And then you got to lean on the managers who you get into the whole, everything that's on the plate of a sales manager and all that stuff. It's just, it becomes like a tractor pull for something that everybody knows you need it. And you really just have to like, and again, that's what I think that when you break through a ceiling and enable, when you realize so much of your job is emotional management. Like, how do you manage emotions and energy within your organization, right? And so it's account planning it's an incredible, and I think Mark Cosgalow has this great matrix he basically has a matrix for how to chart out the change management tax that comes through every ask that you make to a go-to-market organization. But it's like, it's real. It's really real. And so again,
that's a lot.
We all know that we need, but like, it's weeks, if not months, of change management with the team. And you just hope that like they just keep doing it.
Something happens.
Just please listen to us and please do this. And inevitably, like, again, like most organizations fail at their account planning. And that's what I've just described. Is it a convenient example? Yeah, but is it inaccurate? It's not. So with an agent, like now, again, what we've done is by building it into Notion, we have the place where you store all of them, and you spin up a new account plan template. We put the name of the account at the top. Our theme from kickoff was Yes, Chef. And so that's the trigger for the agent is you spin up the account plan, you attach that Notion personality in there, you just say, Yes, Chef, and then 90 seconds later, it's in there. And again, it is an account plan that has been accused of being too detailed. But it's what you think about like long term. It's yes, I get that. It's
so you need the context for both the human and for the AI to do later. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah.
And so now think about if you are generating all of this rich metadata around the customers that you work with, think about what you can do at a macro level. Think about, and again, because it's all in Notion.
Totally.
Notion is the most user-friendly service. Then it is the unlock for me when I fully there is a steep learning curve. It's love it. It's not like Slack where you just turn it on and figure it out, right? But once you really understand what's going on with Notion, it's just the most user-friendly database that's ever been created, right? And so we have all the account plans in our Notion instance. And you can then build agents that can analyze them at a macro level for trends and stuff to give you more predictive instead of waiting for the deal to close before you get your learnings. You can learn about what's happening in the deals a lot better in real time. And what used to be like months and months of change management and emotional energy with the team. And again, at the end of the day, you're hoping they keep doing this thing. It's like the most common question with the account plans right now is like, that's it. All I do is yes, chef. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You were starting to break up. So I lost the last, you were talking about Notion and then I lost the last 30 seconds was blipping it out. So apologies about that.
Yes. And I think just to back and train up a little bit, it's, what used to be a months long process of a lot of change management, a lot of just like managing people's energy and emotion around that. Another thing that it becomes, again, a crucial part of fortifying your sales organization, your sales motion, but it becomes admin work for them. Is the most common question I get asked about the account planning agent is just, that's it. I just say, yes, chef. Like, yeah,
that's it. That's it.
And then now it's there and it's there. And so when you think about the lineage of pre-sales to post-sales, right? It's like now our post-sales team now walks in and has everything about the account, everything we did, how we were in the pilot, like it all lives in one place for them. And again, like the next evolution for us is, okay, like what macro level insights can we glean out of this? Because if we have this level of context across all of our accounts, well, like how do we start and it's all about how do you compress the time of learning? It comes back to that. I guess that'd be like the thesis of my talk today, which is like compressing the time that it takes to learn things. And having an agent that can look over all of your account plans from the last quarter and what are the trends that you're seeing and things like that. So I'd say, to land. Like, it's all about compressing learning on an individual level, on a micro level, but on a macro level from a sales organization. How do we drive insights out of our deals before they've already closed?
Nice. Are you syncing into a CI of some kind to get that live updates or from Salesforce or whatever CRM? Is that how you get the context to Notion?
You can use it for Notion, right? Like you can, the Notion agent builds the account plans and then you have a second.
Right, but as they have calls, that doesn't get automatically loaded to Notion. So how do they connect that?
No, that's a delta we're trying to figure out right now.
Got it.
In terms of we use Gong. So it's like, hey, how do we continue to layer in that stuff? But it's like, that's the next unlock. And it's not, luckily, it's not a lot of arithmetic to cross that chasm. Like, so we launched account planning at our kickoff last week. And so the pre-work for kickoff was, okay, like, what are your top accounts for the year? Spin up an account plan for all of them. And yeah, we have, at this point, we have hundreds of account plans now.
Tons. Yeah. That's really cool. Talk to me about, just from your brain, like you said before, which I was intrigued by, is you don't do trainings anymore. And I love this because I'm an ex-trainer. I came from the world of training 10 years ago. And in the last 5 years, I keep telling people, before AI even came out, I was like, if your first action is to do a training, you're doing it wrong. Because your first action should be doing things that eliminates the friction and not having them do another thing. So is this a motion where you ever have, you have an SKO obviously, but besides that, you have a weekly training, or is this more like a Loom video saying, hey guys, got this new Yes Chef agent and go have fun? Is that the flow now?
Yeah, it's a little bit close.
Yeah.
We still do trainings, right? But it's really more of keeping the team up to speed because our industry moves so quickly. So to me, it's the way that I anchor our monthly motion is like, there's 3 bits to it. There is, we need to be perpetually distilling the most efficient ways to do our jobs. That's what salespeople, and that's what we did our kickoff in Stockholm last week, like the most beautiful city you've never been to. Seriously, Stockholm is, I love it there. It's quickly become my second home. But for the first time, I think like cold weather kickoff, which to me like was funny when we were planning it. You were like, oh yeah, we're going to do a global summit. We're going to open our new office, all this stuff, right? And I was like, but that's risky, right? What if there's a big snowstorm? And again, like the folks in Stockholm, they were so confused. They're like, why would a snowstorm? What do you mean? Like, a ton of snow and the airport shuts down. And they were like, Justin, we don't even cancel school for snow. It's just something we just deal with it. It's like rain. It's just get on with it.
So it's not like you live your life and keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. Like why? It's really like the most unique kickoff. Not only was it like the most fun kickoff I've ever been a part of, but it was at a unique location with all of this stuff. But it's like what made it so successful was like we focused on what, like, how do we pull out the most valuable information on how to do your job? Everything was super hands-on, super tactical. We set a really high bar for what made it into show flow at kickoff. And it was like the first day was everyone together. I called it the plunge. I was like, we're going to do a lot of information today, but it was like, it was the most critical people with the most critical information at the company across our go-to-market team. And so that was everyone aligned on, hey, this is what we need to do to be successful as a strategy. Because here's how we're going to be successful this year. Then the next day, everyone broke out by role. And so you had pre-sales, post-sales, business development, all that stuff. And they were in workshops. And it was leaders and elite performers going through tactical, okay, the things that keep us up at night, the things that give us fits, the things that slow our deals down. Here's how you spot it, 10 feet ahead. Here's how you get around it. Here's how you untangle the mess when it comes your way. And then by the third day, it was all like manager-led workshops with their team. So we went from all together on the strategy, tactically, how do I do my job, to certifying with your manager on all the stuff you learned yesterday.
Love it.
We're actually going to put into practice. And I'm someone who, as we're waxing poetic here on enablement, like I've tried every size and shape and kind of certification. And my favorite kind is a team certification. A team certification is where we give the managers a handful of scenarios and it's like, have the team talk through these. And all the scenarios are directly related to the content the day prior. And actually, speaking of agents, what I did was I took all of the workshops on the day before and I quickly ran them through a GPT and was like, spin up 4 scenarios based on the content that you talked about, that was talked about.
Right.
And then so the managers brought that deck into the next day. And so it was a team certification. Like, how would you handle this pricing scenario based on the direct workshop that they did the day prior on pricing and negotiation and things like that? And so it was like, it felt so relevant. People were like, oh my God, like, how did you turn that around so quickly? And it was like,
this is what we do, man.
Right, that's what we do here. And so it was like, and the week just got more and more personalized. And so to the topic that we raised briefly earlier, which is like, in terms of managing people's energy that week, it's just the hardest thing, right? As an enablement leader, it's like you are tasked with keeping energy, the energy reservoir above a certain level. It's by the time we got that last day, people were so impressed with like how personalized it felt. And it was all, it's not that it wasn't personalized, but it was by using AI, we were hyper personalized for them, where they spent the last 2. The first day is always hard. That's why I call it the plunge, right? Because like guys, today is going to be a lot. It's going to be long. It's going to be large. One directional content. But the next day was discussion-based workshops with the magic sauce. The secret sauce of that day was like, we have reps in AMER and EMEA that don't see each other that often. So it's, got to hear from collab. And oh my, I never thought about doing it because again, like their customer base is different. So they do things differently. And then by the time you get to their last day, it's like discussions within your team. Here's the most valuable things I learned. Here's how I would do it. And as a manager, it's like, hey, if someone's not participating, they certainly can fail to serve. If they're just a warm body in the room, don't certify them and say, hey, like you didn't participate in this discussion at all. But that was not the feedback in any way. So everyone left certified on account planning and then certified on those. I forget what question you asked to get us here, John. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, it's okay. It's good. You're going on the right path. I'm just fascinated by the shift in, again, it's the old world of having to rely on either live training or something to distill information versus the new world of, and what you're basically saying is you haven't gotten rid of it, but it's more productive, more applied to the real life. It's more focused versus broad waste of time type of training. Right.
Sorry. And exactly. Thank you so much. I'm very good at this. So what led us here, you asked about how much training you do, and we still do, but it's like the training is more like information transfer again. Cause like we move so quickly. So the way that we're coming out of kickoff is that the first week of every month is going to be a training on do my job. So for like BDRs, right? We're going to roll out a program called, I'm really proud of this. It's called 24 Karat Cold. And it's all about what are the golden tactics of cold outreach, being a BDR and things like that. And sales is going to do pipe hygiene, right? And then running pilots and, how to expand, how to go from adoption to expansion for post-sales folks. And so the first week, everyone's getting that tactical do my job training. The third week, we're going to bring everyone together and it's all about the legal tech industry. And so and again, I think it's important that, that there is individualization as well as centralization in how you run your enablement program. So it's a repeatable cadence that people just get it. Hey, first week of the month, we got 24 Karat Cold. We got that session and it's all about like sharing.
I love it.
The latest and greatest. And that the midweek one, we have folks that lead a product and legal innovation and they come together. Okay, here's what you need to know. So for example, this week, OpenAI or Anthropic just released like legal plugins for Claude. And a lot of people are like, oh, you guys must be really shook about that. And it's like, no, we're not for all of these reasons. And so the session we're having later today addresses exactly that. It's like, hey, like, listen, this came out. We knew about it. We're not concerned. And like our product and product marketing teams are so good here. Like they already put together, okay, here's what the plugins are. Here's where they compete with us. Here's where they don't compete with us. Here's the talk tracks. Like it's all good. That gets distributed in Notion. So people get it right away. But then we talk about it in that bi-monthly that's cool. Monthly enablement spot. So everyone's singing from the same hymn book.
Yeah, I love that a lot. When you use Notion, and I love what you're thinking too, because like in a GPT or Gemini or whatever, you're limited on the context you have. But in Notion, you have this unlimited amount of data from things like product marketing, so that when you use an agent, you can say, hey, we had a training today, use this page on the training and spit out this comparison to whatever customer of whatever thing,
Yeah. And so if you think about a real tangible example was, it's the ultimate RAG system so we had to spin up that Notion page on the Claude legal plugins. Yeah. All I did was, what did I do? I went into my prompt for account planning and I added that as a resource to read.
That's awesome, dude.
Every account plan that gets written from here until kingdom come as that talk, that becomes part of, again, because one of the things we have to look for, one of the criteria we build the account plan is competitive. Are they using GPT? Are they? So for example, I demoed the agent at kickoff really quickly, like just hey, like I know most of you have done your pre-work, but just a final call, do your pre-work. And so in the first paragraph for one of our customers, I was like, let's take a look at this one. Maria, one of our reps in Southern Europe, she built a great account plan. And in the first paragraph, it said, yeah, like this firm, they're known as an early adopter of AI. They've deployed X amount of GPT licenses to their organization. And one of the things that I have the agent do is it creates inline footnotes for every resource that it uses. And so the reason why I use this example was that after that fact, it had 2 footnotes. And so in real time, in front of the whole team, I clicked on the first one. It was an OpenAI press release on, hey, we're working with this top law firm, this top global law firm. Here's everything. I go, oh, that's cool. What about this second footnote? It was the press release from the firm talking about how they're, so yeah, they are very,
that's awesome.
Over there. And then again, I asked in real time in the room, I was like, guys, like it takes 30 seconds to write this account plan with the agent. I'm like, how many of you could actually do these footnotes in 30 seconds? And they got like a good laugh in the room, but this is the speed at which we're trying to operate within.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and one last question before you go, because I think this opens up a fascinating realm, which is I've seen people with AI do one of two things. They either try to speed up or make better the old way, and then there's the new way, which is a total transformation of what you're doing before. Like where, I don't know how to ask this question, but it's like that your example you just gave is what pinged the question. See team, this is what's happening in real time. So the speed of which things are happening is so much faster, but it opens up these new possibilities that you never had before. You're right. Where do you see this going in general with like enablement and teams and the speed of it, and then transform it to something totally new?
So I have 2 things on this. One is I think enablement needs to get out of the content business. I think if you are, the thing, what content is, enablement content, e-learnings, one-pagers, infographics, whatever. It is a vehicle to break down complex information. It's just, hey, if I could get in a room and walk you through this, I would, but I need this visual, I need this graphic, I need this deck, I need this whatever
Right.
to make this consumable for you. Again, I can literally go into ChatGPT and say, hey, explain world finance to me as if it were the WWE. And it'll do it. I mean, there's no, like anything you need to learn can just be explained to you however you'd like it explained to you. So to me, this creates this existential paradox of then what is the role of content? Like I think enablement and content are going to completely detach from one another. And I think enablement is really going to focus on what it should have been focused on the whole time, which is process, which is like enablement needs to have the widest panorama lens on the go-to-market organization. And you need to be the one plugging things in and saying, hold on,
all connecting.
This broke over here because this just wasn't shored up. There's actually a leak over here. That's why this happened. Like the best analogy I have for this is I think to just frame it for people. Imagine if New Year's resolution, you go, I'm going to eat clean in 2026. Let's break down very quickly. Eating clean means you have to look for recipes. You got to drive to the grocery store. You got to shop. You got to drive home. You got to prep food. You got to do the dishes. You got to cook it. You got to put it in containers. You got to clean those containers. Guess what? Here's Factor. Here you go. Here's Factor. Right there at your doorstep. Except Factor maybe is a little pricey for some folks. This is actually priceless. It's instead of doing all the things to eat clean, hey, all that time you were spending and the effort you were spending to eat clean, you can just use that time to work out. And so it's without trying to, I do my best not to speak in hyperbole, but it's gonna change everything. One of our more brilliant people here likes to say, whatever AI can do, it will do. It's just a matter of time. Like it's just no one's put to work to go do that. And I think enablement and content are gonna have a breakup, which they should. I think they should break up from one another. Yeah. And it's like, and again, enablement can then focus on, this is another thing, like when we go through onboarding, like everywhere I've built many onboarding programs in my life, and I put everyone's got to understand the buyer's journey. And the reason I say that is because I've never worked with an elite performer that doesn't understand every piece on the board. So I think enablement is going to be tasked with, you need to understand every piece on the board and what it does. And then you need to be understanding where the leaks are happening. Because again, like here's the other thing. It's like everyone's moving so quickly that I think leaks are going to become more frequent. And mark of a good enablement team is going to be preempting those leaks or quickly walking in, plugging them with a solution like an agent, and then you become indispensable, right? Where I think like a lot of times, like when enablement flirts too much with content, that's the fast track to irrelevance. When you're enablement content factory.
Yeah, this is more refreshing to understand to hear you talk about this, because I'm like, thank you. Someone else in the world who actually gets this stuff. This is so I love you thinking this way. And Justin, I love you're willing to share some of the golden goodness. So I just want to tell you thank you for joining and for the stuff. I'll make some visuals go along with this. I'm already have an idea. I'm going to put some stuff together as we do this. And I'll put it on top of the podcast. But this is awesome. I appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Listen, thank you again. I've been a big fan of yours for a while, so it's a bit of a fanboy moment to come on and chat with you, John. But anyone who listen, I'm an open book. Anyone who wants to connect on LinkedIn, we're hiring a lot here at Legora. So again, if you connect, you will see some job postings for me in the near future. Whether it's yourself or someone you want to refer in, more than happy to meet and connect with the community. Because again, like the enablement community is just so special, right? And it's one of those things where I very much want to see enablement survive this era of go to market. And we can, but it's like we gotta make some tough decisions.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So everyone knows, it's Legora.com. So Legora.com. And then if you're okay with it, I'll include your LinkedIn link in the show notes too, if that's okay. And then people can just reach out to you for whatever brainstorming you want to do with you or whatever. So that's cool. Yeah. Thank you, Justin. You're the man. I appreciate you, man.
Take care. Have a great one. Be well, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.